In this video I want to show you how we can use the sequencer of the Moog Grandmother to actually create performances instead of just simple boring patterns, because there are a few ways that are not that obvious that allows us to create a performance-based sound. And the first thing I'm going to do is dialing in a plucky sound. You could just copy the settings, a simple plucky envelope with some filtering. It sounds like this. And the first thing we are going to do is utilizing the 3 patterns to record 3 different sequences, but I want them to be in the same key, in the same scale. And in general, I really like to use the natural minor scales. I think they sound really great for these epic sequences. And let's just pick the simplest natural minor scale, the natural A minor scale. It's just all the white notes. And we are taking the scale for all the 3 patterns, but making a few adjustments on the sequence so the notes are just in a different order. And to record a sequence, flip to the recording switch, and now the previous sequences will be deleted. That's something you have to be aware of. And you could now simply play in a melody and it will save it to the first pattern. Flip back to the sequence, go into the second pattern and record another sequence, and let's just take the same scale with a few different variants of the notes. And the third pattern. And now we have 3 patterns that are a little bit different but still in the same key, so it's not that big of a difference. And it's important that you press the first note of your sequence, otherwise you will transpose it. And let me show you this. So the first note I think we've played was this one here. So we're getting the exact same key, but if you would now play this note, you would transpose it up. So if you want the exact same key you played it in, press the first note of your sequence, press hold, and if you now play it, it will start. We could now switch between these 3 patterns here. Of course, you could also use the different directions or the random mode to just give it a little bit more variety. Most of the time I'm just using the order I've played it in and playing around with the different patterns. And to pimp up these patterns, let's go back and edit them a little bit. And to edit them, make sure to be in the play mode, play the sequence and flip it to recording again. And now we are able to use the tie, rest and accent to make it a little bit more interesting. Let me first explain what tie, rest and accent is doing. Tie will tie notes together. It will merge them together, kind of playing legato. And let's try this for a second. So they will be merged together, kind of. Rest will just skip a step. And for the accent, I'm showing you how to use this in a second, because I want to talk a little bit more about the tie first, because you could also play in a tie or play in a legato note, because tie is basically just legato, meaning we are playing 2 notes in this tight way. So you could also play in these legato notes. So that would also be possible. And another performance-based trick would be to enable the legato glide, because right now if you turn up the glide knob, all the notes in the sequence will glide, and most of the time that sounds as. But we could enable legato glide, so only the tight notes or legato notes will glide. For this one, press the shift button or the hold button and turn it to the right completely. And if you now turn up the glide, it will only make the legato notes glide. If you want to disable this again, press shift and turn it to the left side, and now all the notes will glide again. Let's create a few accents for the second sequence, because I think the accent function is one of the most underrated thing on the Moog Grandmother. So let's go into the edit mode. And if you are in edit mode, you can also see what steps you have played in. to edit exit mode, switch to the sequence again. And you can't really hear something for the accents because we have to take the signal it's producing from the keyboard velocity output. Let's take this and set it into the mold so we are able to multiply it and then set it into the filter. And what the accent is doing, it will send a voltage based on the steps we've programmed in, and we can use this to open the filter or change other parameters on the synth. Let's try this for the filter first. And now only the accented notes will open the filter. Maybe let's go into the attenuator and into the pitch in of oscillator 2, hard sync it, give it a little bit of amount here. And now we can create these nice hard sync sweeps based on the accented steps. And now we have 3 different patterns, not only with different notes, but also with a different way of how it's playing, how it's changing parameters on the Moog Grandmother. So I think that's the best way to actually create performances instead of just simple sequences in one pattern. But there are a few more tricks I want to show you, and for this one, let's get rid of the connections. Maybe let's take the keyboard velocity out and send it to the filter, and we can leave it that way, because we are going to need the attenuator for one of the next tricks. Right now I'm patching into the reset in at the back side, and we are going from the output of the attenuator. And if you turn the attenuator to the right side, we are sending voltage. And we could now use the attenuator like a reset knob because it's going into the reset in. And if we send the voltage value by turning it into the right side, we are restarting the sequencer. That's also a nice little hidden feature. Now it will always restart. Last but not least, one of my favorite tricks ever, and let's go from the gate out into the sync in of the modulating oscillator, set it to a square wave, and we are also going from the attenuator output into the rate in. Let me explain what this is doing. So we are sending a negative attenuator value into the rate in to make the rate even slower. So it basically takes minutes to finish an LFO cycle. And we are taking the gate out into the sync in, meaning each time we are pressing a key, we are forcing the waveforms to start at the beginning. And we are using the pulse wave for a reason, because the pulse wave is basically just voltage on or voltage off values. And by having a really long LFO cycle, we have really long values of this voltage on cycle from the square waveform, and we could now use the mod wheel to change the pitch amount, the cutoff amount, and the pulse width amount. For example, if you would now play a note, you could use the mod wheel to change the cutoff. You could also do the same for the pulse width, but we are going to use this for the pitch amount. So we are able to use the mod wheel as a second pitch bend wheel, and then we can create really interesting pitch glide effects for our sequences. So let's maybe first tune it to where the mod wheel should land, and we can do this with the pitch amount. And I like to tune it 1 or 2 octaves above. You could either do this by ear or just with a simple guitar tuner plugin inside your DAW. And these tricks will help you to make your sequences come a little bit more to life and make them sound more like a performance instead of just a simple sequence pattern. If you want to learn more about the Moog Grandmother, click the first link in the description to watch a free lesson of the full Moog Grandmother course, where I'm starting with all the beginning principles to advanced semi-modular sound design. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon.